On today's episode, our guest is Dhanvee. He joined Commure with the goal of improving the state of the healthcare industry. Before he even attended college, he was an Intel Science Fair finalist and won the Bay Area Synopsys Science Fair. At his time at the University of Maryland, he won Rutgers Hackathon and led organizing team for UMD's hackathons, which at the time were the biggest on the East Coast. A week after graduation, he started at Commure as one of the first engineers on the RCM product. He built it from scratch, creating the GitHub repository and setting up all the cloud infrastructure. He currently leads the core backend team of the RCM product at Commure. This team supports the rest of the RCM engineering team and our operations team, doing everything from ensuring claims get submitted and reconciled to ensuring our service is always up and running to building better and faster tools for operations so that they can scale our customer base as fast as possible. We'll love to chat with you about your experience today on RCM. And for those that don't know, RCM is revenue cycle management, and it's a really complex product in the healthcare space. What do you think are some of the challenges that we're facing today, and how do you think Commure and Thales are actually solving that marketplace?
To give some extra color on RCM, basically, let's say you're like a med student, you graduate med school, right?
Yeah.
You want to open your own medical practice. It's actually a lot of work, right? You have to, you need to get credentialed with insurance companies, okay? So you can't just go see the patients and make a living. You have to first not only did you go through all this time in med school, you have to go talk to insurance companies and be authorized to be a doctor again. Then you have to find your practice. You have to see patients. You need to have a front desk staff to check in those patients. You need to, after you actually do your job, right? Your doctor's job is to see the patients, right? So your doctor does their job. Then they need to, again, have this billing staff to submit insurance claims to the patient's insurance so that they can get, their salary, right?
Yeah.
And then even then, insurance companies just barely ever pay that money out, right? They'll randomly deny your claims.
Mm-hmm.
They'll just make it hard. It makes it hard for the doctor, right? And, if you want to, have more say as a doctor, if you wanted to have more say of how you go about your life, how you, practice, you have to have your own medical practice, but it's just so time consuming to have your own practice. You have to manage the staff. You have to deal with insurance companies. You have to run a business and see patients at the same time. So these people are basically juggling two jobs. And it's do you want your doctor to be doing that? Not really, right? I want my doctor to be paying attention to me.
Yep.
I don't want them to have to worry about, am I actually going to get paid for this work or not?
Yeah.
So that's what we're trying to solve.
Yeah. How do you think we're solving it today with our RCM product?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the RCM product basically, it's an ongoing battle, right? We're not done yet, but the end vision, right, is to basically say, doctors should only be doing doctor stuff. I don't want, and by doctor stuff, it's the patient's definition of doctor stuff, not the insurance company's definition of doctor stuff, right? And that's honestly the mission of the whole company, right? It could be RCM, it could be Scribe. I don't want doctors doing anything other than talking to patients, listening to their problems, helping them get better, right?
Yeah.
So, to give you more details, what that looks like is, we, ingest all the data from doctors' offices, from their systems. We handle the submission of insurance claims, and, not just the submission of these claims, but we basically make sure that they get paid for their work, right? So, and we do that with minimal involvement from their side so that, again, they don't have to think about this overhead. Yeah. We will just eat that overhead for them so that they can enjoy what they do. They can be a doctor and they can get better and better doing that.
Yeah. Do you see small practices all the way up to large sort of enterprise healthcare systems today having the appetite to adopt and sort of transition to essentially modern technology that we're essentially building?
Yeah. I mean, they're just so tired, right? If you, let's say you're running a marathon and I gave you a chair, you're not going to be I don't know you. I don't know that chair.
Yeah.
You're going to sit on the chair, right? So in the same way, there are customers we have from small to large, right? When I joined the company, our first customer was a single provider practice, right? It was just one person. And this doctor was pulling her hair out because, her one billing person just left. And it's okay, if that person leaves, you are no longer filing claims. You are no longer making any money, right? So now it's like your livelihood is at stake.
Yeah.
There are single provider practices that have this issue. There are even like large health systems that we work with have the same issue. It's like, okay, we want to, we have too many patients. We want to have more doctors. But in order for us to be able to pay all those doctors, we need to, have the money to do that. And then in order to have the money to do that, we need to it just becomes really hard to scale humans, I think. And what we want to do is just like, why don't we give you like this huge lever to just like use our software and make it way easier to run your operations, right? Run your health practice operations, and then you can focus on being a doctor.
Yeah. I sometimes tend to think of RCM as on the revenue side, and so when you think about the future of the product, how do you sort of envision the product scaling overall as AI starts to get implemented, more healthcare systems start to get onboarded onto the platform? What sort of new features, new products can we sort of build on top of RCM, and sort of what is your vision on top of that?
Yeah. I mean, it's there's so many details, right?
Yeah.
There's so many nooks and crannies. Like the product space is like a maze. Like there's so many different things we can do. And in terms of scaling, there's tons of work to do, right? From a purely technical perspective, this like operation of like, ingesting all this data that's super messy, cleaning it, kind of from like scaling the product kind of lens.
Yeah.
There's so many, like every customer has their own need. We have to design solutions that are generic enough to meet every customer's need, right? So that's like one kind of scaling. There's a technical scaling, there's a product scaling. Yep. How do you make sure, like as an engineer, your solutions can like apply to every single customer that we have, and all their diverse needs? And then I guess the other kind of edge of product scaling that you were trying to get at is like, there's so many of these processes, right? With every 10 customers we onboard, there are going to be like 2 or 3 customers that are like, they have this brand new process, some like arcane, like just made up process that insurance companies have like enforced on the practice. And it's like, okay, apparently they need to submit this like random report to every month to this insurance company to get the money they're owed, right? So then, building up new features to do that. And then, at the same time, we want to operate more and more efficiently, right? So we want to scale ourselves efficiently, right? So, we can't have, like, instead of the practice making phone calls every day, we started making phone calls every day to insurance companies asking, hey, I'm supposed to get paid out on this claim. Why am I not getting paid out? Yeah. But obviously, we don't want to have more and more humans as we scale. So then how can you get software to do that, right? So, we're looking at playing around with, what kinds of LLMs can we deploy internally and, create leverage for ourselves, right? Not just for our customers.
Yeah. Our culture and the things and the value that I see around our engineering culture is around shipping things quickly and fast iterations. How have you seen that sort of implemented within sort of the engineering culture today, especially as you built RCM from inception to where it is today?
Yeah. And, over the like two-year journey, it's changed a lot, right? In the very beginning, we didn't really know what we were doing. Like we were just still trying to figure it out, find that product market fit. Yeah. And there it was always, just try things, right? We want to try as many things as possible, as fast as possible. So, that the definition of shipping quickly was that at the time. Now after we've found strong product market fit, we have like many people who rely on us. Shipping quickly now means like, okay, how do you deliver, new innovations, new like fun experiences with like at a high pace and like a high quality at the same time. Right? Yeah. In terms of engineering culture, that ends up looking like, just like having a lot of pride in your work, right? All the engineers we have are super proud of what we do. We care a lot about the quality of our work. And, we're all here to see like some end customer outcome, right? Yeah. Everyone's here just for that. So it comes down to things like, having a good design review process. Like if you want to build a new feature, what is it going to do? What does it have to do? How are we going to build it? What are all the risks with building it?
Yeah.
Thinking through all those details, right?
Yeah.
And then going all from that's like the start of the cycle, the product cycle, and then all the way to the very end, right? Like, are you observing? Are you looking at what your product is doing? Are you looking at what your systems are doing? Are you keeping track of like whether or not people are using it, happy with it? Is it performant? Is it scaling well?
Yeah.
All those things.
Awesome. So I know as the head of engineering for infra, there's a lot of also stakeholder management, and I know one of the core groups that you support is the operations team. Can you go into a little bit of detail around sort of your work integrating with this team and sort of building for this team, at least from an engineering perspective?
Yeah. It's tough because they move really fast,
Yeah.
right? They're a demanding customer, but they support our customers, and we want to do that too. So
Yeah.
we have to do our best to keep up with them. I think what it looks like is just I think like Lockheed Martin and Skunkworks does this. Skunkworks, like what Skunkworks is basically is like they took their best engineers and their best machinists and they put them in one room, and they were like, okay, like you guys are gonna just like work with each other the whole day and like build like insane stuff, right? So I think when we do it right, that's exactly what it looks like. And many like our most successful products have been places where engineers are sitting side by side with operators, just like every day meeting with them, see like, okay, like let's look at our internal workflows, right? Like why does it take so long? Why are we only able to do like 10 tasks in a day, right? Or it could be like n tasks in a day. And then almost the same way, like it's a pretty engineering mindset, like the same way you'd optimize like a code path, where is my code spending the most time? It's like the same thing. Where are humans spending the most time in this process?
Mm-hmm.
And then we try to say like, okay, can we remove that bottleneck by either just like removing that process, or maybe we can parallelize the process, split up the task and do it, multiple steps at a time, or maybe we can just like have software do it instead and do it quickly.
I think in some ways there's like similarities between how we're trying to think about optimizing large healthcare systems versus how we're thinking about scaling operations internally. How do you think about like ops tooling in general for the future?
Yeah, and I think like the way not just I, but the whole company thinks about it is like, again, the healthcare industry has like so much of this like cruft, right? Just like, why are you having to do this? If your claim gets denied, you have to call the insurance company, recite the claim number. It's going to be like 15 digits, digit by digit, right? You recite it on the phone, and they're going to be like, oh, can you repeat it one more time? I didn't get that. So then that's like another 3 minutes you spend doing that. And they give you this like vague reason of like, I didn't like the ink you printed the form on. That's the real reason, by the way. And it's like, you have to like go like fix the claim again. So it's like, these are two humans spending their time doing something that really like a computer should be like, that should just be data transfer, right? Like, so the approach we take basically is like, let's learn what the process is first, right? So I think we're really good at learning new like arcane processes that people invent, learn it, and then we study it for a bit, see like, okay, where are the bottlenecks? And then we get to work and say like, okay, why don't we, like what can we do to eliminate the overhead here?
Yeah.
Right. So it can be anything as simple as, let's write like a script that does it every day, does a certain thing every day. It could be as complicated as let's like build a system that keeps track of all these moving parts, and determines like what the next action is. At every step.
That's awesome. So it sounds like you've done a ton of work in regards to, how we've sort of built the operations team internally within Commure and Nathalis, how we've sort of built the product, RCM from the ground up, from inception to where it is today. What sort of keeps you up at night as you think about the future of Commure and Nathalis?
I think the things that keep me up at night are, there's a huge variety of things, right? I think like there are tons of challenges to work on. It's like super annoying that the state of the industry is as it is. I think that generally kind of just bothers me, but that's what we're here to fix, right? So I guess that's a kind of a good keeping me up at night. I want more and more people for that cause, right? Like I think anyone that's interested in healthcare, I think you quickly realize that like, it's these processes that kind of end up creating this bad system. And I think, I don't know, at least I'm pretty convinced, and the company's pretty convinced that, optimizing these processes is like the most surefire path to making healthcare in the US better. So yeah, I think just like, I just want to keep going, go faster. And yeah, I think that's the thing. It's just like, how do we fix this problem faster and faster?
You talk about, essentially finding more people for the cause. One of the things that I learned during All Hands today was, you essentially started at Commure Nathalis after, attending the university. And you've, were one of the first engineers hired to build up RCM. For folks that are actually trying to get into a similar position like yourself, like what's your biggest advice?
I think my biggest advice for anyone like that is just like, be super passionate about something, right? Like, I know like when we hire, this is what we look for, is just like, is this person driven by just like passion, right? Just like no ulterior motive, like is there any cause that they really care about, right? I think that's the biggest thing, right? So it could be, if you're still in college, it could be just like work on some projects, like it's like easier than ever to build new products and deploy them. It could be like, it could be like a tool for your university students to like schedule classes or like share schedules, right? It could be as simple as that. Or maybe you can like, try to partner with your like local health system. See if they need any help with like manual processes and try to fix stuff for them. But yeah, I think the reason I mentioned passion in particular is like, if you have that, I think everything else follows, right? Like if you really care about something, overcoming any other challenge becomes really easy.
Awesome. Well, appreciate the time, Dhanvee, especially being on our podcast, and looking forward to more future conversations.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome.